Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. So I cleaned up the material that we cut up off the logs. So this is the kind of cleaned up material, cut straight edges on everything off the short ash log that we had from the first cedar pole that I put up on the sawmill. That's what we got out of that one. And this is the second log that we just finished on the sawmill. Interesting, this is definitely, I believe, Western red cedar. Has definitely a darker tone than this cedar. And this log that we got was going along beautifully until I encountered a 1/4-inch lag screw. So the blade cut right through it and then dropped immediately. You can see there's quite a taper there on the end of that piece. I sharpened the blade after encountering that piece and finished off the log, and it seems to be working just fine. Didn't break the blade, and it's sawing along just fine. I have a new blade coming today. But what we're up against now is the big log. So this is the big log that I've got. It's currently a little over 6 feet. It's about almost 7 feet long. I'm going to have to cut about 10 inches off it in order to get it on the table. And it is 14 inches wide at its widest point, which is down here. So I'm expecting to take the 10 inches off it from up this end, so I get a little bit more material there. But this log is heavy, really, really heavy. It's all I can do to lift up one end. So when I talk about my Worktable Sawmill being able to handle logs that I can handle personally, this is about the limit. So in terms of size of the log and weight of the log, this is about all we got. So I have to figure out how to get this into the workshop and then how to cut off that little end. I have a chainsaw that I'll use to cut off the 10 inches, but yeah, that's the big job next. So what I'm going to be doing, at least to get this into a place where I can manipulate it, is use a board here, a nice flat board, and I have some rollers that I'm going to lift that into the log up, set it on the roller, and see if I can just kind of push it along to get it out of the way, and perhaps even use that technique to get it right into the shop. So I'll put you on time lapse. You can enjoy today's adventure. So I cut that off at about 70 inches, just shy of 6 feet. So it'll fit on the table well, but I am second guessing the oakiness of that piece. I believe from that end cut, it looks a little bit more like maple. It's heavy enough, but whatever it is, oak, maple, get it on the sawmill and we'll cut that up. So I used the rollers and the board to get the log up here onto the apron of the workshop. And now I've got the log mounted on a dolly, and I'm just going to carry it into the shop from there. Carry, yeah, in quotes. Mission accomplished. All right, here we are. We're going to try and tip the log now onto the table and then lift this end up. So let's just see how this works. In theory, the bulk of the weight is on that end, so it should just fall over if I reduce the friction on this end. Trouble is, I don't want to be killed in the process. Just going to have another think about this. I'm going to change tactics on this. I'm going to move the log farther out and then just get this tail end resting on the table. Then I can roll it on. I'm a little concerned about the thing flopping over, and I have no control over it at that point. You know, predictable where it could land, I suppose, but there's a lot of force coming down on the table. I'm concerned that it might even break the table. So let me set up a little differently. We'll try this again. All right, I have a lot more of the control of the log in this orientation. So I've got my rollers here. I'm gonna lift up that end. It'll land on this roller, then land on this roller. I have to give it a little rotation as it goes because there's a flat spot here I want to capture. And then that'll land on that roller. So hopefully we'll just do a little roll, lift on that end. It is one heavy sucker, but at least I'm not lifting the whole thing. All right, here we go. Okay, we're up. Didn't know if that was going to be possible. Okay, so I'm going to move it ahead. Looks like another foot. And I think I might still be a little bit long, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Just having a look at this log, I'm kind of thinking I should probably rotate it 180 degrees. Roll it so that this is on the top. Have a flatter surface on the bottom. You know, flatter. So I'll give it a spin. Be back when that's done. So this log is about as wide as this saw is going to permit. I just barely make it through there, taking off an inch at a time, which is what I think I'll probably do on this stuff. I'll make it an inch thick. First cut will just be taking off this, probably coming down to about here, just kind of removing all of this crap. We'll start doing some slices, but whew, this is a big one. Biggest one yet. So I have the log within a half an inch of the blade on this end. At this end, we're just extending the table by about an inch. I think the blade will go that far. Not positive, we're going to learn. Have to watch that very closely when we get to the end of a cut. If it doesn't make it, then we'll just cut it off with the chainsaw, make it an inch less than it is. In terms of width, I have the blade guides as far apart as I can possibly go. So what will wind up happening is we'll make a couple cuts and then probably wind up flipping the log onto its side to get it a little bit narrower and then start making cuts from that. But first I got to raise the blade. Got to go up about 7 inches. So I am maxing, hitting all the limits on the saw. That's about as high as I can go. I could probably go another 1/16 before the motor hits the crossbeam. So that kind of dictates our first cut. At maximum width, it's going to be 15 inches. That's as big as I can go. And the length, 6 feet. So, well, I'm actually, I think, an inch shorter than 6 feet, maybe 2. But yeah, that's as big as I can get. So I'm ready to make the first cut. But first, a bite of lunch. All right, we're all set up here. I've got everything plugged in, the vacuum plugged in, so I'm going to put you on time lapse. And we'll take a slice off this maple log. This first section is huge. Biggest test we've done so far. So we'll see how it goes. I'll have you on time lapse. I may have to stop now and then just to check on things, but let's see how we do. And there is the cut. Yeah, there's our cut. It actually made it all the way through. That was kind of slow going, but that was my intent. Remember, that blade was had gone through a lag bolt and has simply been sharpened. So first cut through a big log, like that's 15 inches of maple, and man, what's some really interesting coloring and green pattern here too. Like this is very interesting through here. So yeah, now the next question is, what do I want to cut next? Just go down another slab, or perhaps flip it on its side and do something. I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to think about that for a little bit, but woohoo! We made it. Here's the piece that was cut off. It is very, very heavy. So I'll see if I can do anything with this. I mean, it's also kind of thick in a couple spots, so I might be able to get something out of this end. Not too sure what I can do out of the rest. It's probably just going to be firewood. But boy, I'm very happy with that. Who would have thought, you know, a little sawmill made out of pallets could actually mill a big piece of maple. Interesting thing about this maple I wanted to point out too is that at this end, it appears that the tree is kind of split into two different trunks. So somewhere along the way, we're going to have an interesting grain pattern as if we keep slicing it through this way. Anywho, I'll get reset for another cut, and away we go. Okay, I'm going to take the first official slab cut on this piece. I noticed right in here there's a big knot, and I had it dipped just a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch, but you can actually feel that running your hand over it. The rest of the piece seems to have gone very, very well. I did speed up the blade once it got, you know, to about here sorry, pointing the wrong thing. I did speed up the blade once it got to about here, and again speeded it up here, or sped it up here. I'm going to keep it running pretty slow all the way through. Well, I'm going to slow it down when it gets here to about the same speed as I had here, which was incredibly slow. I'm running it on my little dial indicator 18. I'll work out what that is in feet per minute, or inches per minute rather, and I'll post that in a little comment that scrolls by. So with that underway, or that in mind, I've already lowered the blade down so I get about 1 1/16 inch slab out of this, maybe 1 1/8. And yeah, back on time lapse. It was rather time lapse, so enjoy the music. was starting that cut, I was thinking I should have sharpened the blade when it was down here. And I didn't. And guess what? The blade broke. Not terribly surprised. That blade did survive a 1/4 inch lag bolt. So it was in a compromised state to begin with on this cut. I have a new blade on the way, so as soon as I get that, I'll put it on and we can resume this cut. In the meantime, I'm going to back this one out and get it ready for the new blade. Already got the blade guard off, the old blade out, just waiting for delivery of the new blade. Hey, brand new blade installed. Let's cut off another slab. Is the first real slab to come off that log. Some very interesting coloring. Don't know what all the black is. I don't like it, but that's what it is. I don't think that's any burning from the blade. I do believe that that is the marking of the wood. So what I have learned about this though is I think I am going to flip this up. So I'll take the wood and I'll flip it up that way and cut the rest of it. Cutting this width is just a little too much for this little saw, at least with the blade that I've got. I've got a 3-tooth per inch blade. I think that probably should be a 2-tooth per inch blade. I'm going to reach out to the blade supplier, see what they would recommend, maybe do something a little different. But short version is, it worked. I'm able to slab a 15-inch piece of maple. That's impressive. At least I think it's impressive. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, so please like and subscribe. I will see you on the next video.